All Excess with Danny Zalesko and Tim Richards.
Hey now.
Hi.
Tim and I know each other from, he's been a radio guru here in the market for many, many years. And we're doing this, which is kind of centered around the book. And I'm just talking to people that I talked to or wrote about in that meager offering of mine, that one. She knows the book.
Yeah. So Jody and I are in full on process in a big project right now. And we're going to have John Prine week essentially in Nashville, October 3rd through 10th.
Wow.
Awesome.
We're going to do, of course, I can't talk about this now, but it will be announced, I think the second week in May. We're doing a memorial service on October 3rd, Sunday,
Okay.
October 3rd, which will be friends and family invited, but we're going to open it up to some fans because, I mean, they're almost like family, a lot of them. So and then on the 4th, we're doing a live stream from Ireland.
Going home.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to be there, but I have people on the ground that I'm working with. It's a co-production with the local national broadcaster. So, and a theatre company there that John and I were involved with, and we're doing, so it's more like Ireland-centric, Galway-centric. It's about our story in Galway and the music and all of that. And then on the 5th, we're going into the Station Inn with the whole damn family.
Wow.
You know what that is, right?
Nope.
John did the whole damn family for years and years. So it was always at Christmas time because everyone was off the road. And it was he and, like Jim Rooney, David Ferguson, Pat McLaughlin, Mike Henderson, Ferg is obviously the ringleader, Sean Kemp. I mean, just tons of artists and songwriters. Anyway, they would go and they'd sing John. John loved old country classics. And so they would sing all of those. And then John would always say, and if we sing one really well, we'll sing it again. So that's going to be on the 5th. And then the 6th and 7th is the Ryman Auditorium, which are kind of the headline shows, the big heavy hitters. And then on the 8th is the Country Music Hall of Fame, curated by Sturgill Simpson.
Oh, that's going to be great.
And then on the 9th, it is the Basement East, curated by Amanda Shires. Dave Cobb is going to MD the shows in the Ryman, and we're going to use John's band, all of the original members. And then on the 10th, we've got the Belcourt Theatre, and we're going to show excerpts from the Irish live stream. And we might do Daddy and Them or something. Just, Jody and I talked about, that's his birthday, obviously. And we didn't, instead of kind of raising it up to a big crescendo, like what John would have enjoyed most is putting on his sweatpants and jeans and going to the movies. So that's what we're going to do. So I've been up to my tiny little Irish tonsils.
Well,
Man.
Well, this isn't going to roll probably until you announce it. So we'll love to help you and aid you in promoting that whole thing.
Thank you.
Any way we can,
Thanks.
That sounds like a blast. I circled the 3rd. I don't know what's going on in October. Like we're in the midst of rescheduling everything still.
I know.
And it's so conflicting because I've got an opportunity to do a show with a great friend of mine who I sent you a picture of the other night, but I'd rather not mention in case it doesn't happen. And they're going to do Colorado in June. They're doing 2 Red Rocks spaced out and 2 Vales. I don't know what the situation is there. And they want to come down here for a couple days. And everybody here is behaving like this thing is over. I mean, in Phoenix and Scottsdale,
Yeah.
like when I'm walking around outside, I don't have a thing on. Anytime I go inside, I'm still masking up. I think I'll probably be doing this for quite a while yet.
Yeah.
And what other people do is their business. And, you make your trips and places that you're going to go to accordingly after you get this information. But there's a vibe out here where people are opening up because the mayors and the governor empowers the mayors to let them do whatever they want.
Right.
And some people,
yeah, we're hoping, you know, we're going out with the premise that we'll sell these shows out,
oh yeah,
but we're going to live stream everything, and we're actually going to make a film of the whole thing. So we feel like, you know, we'll have the revenue we need. We don't need to. These are not like, we're not looking to make anything off these shows. We want them to be paid for, and we want to make sure all the venues are paid and all the musicians, whoever needs payment, gets it. But so yeah, it's hard to know, but I think we're good. I think by October, I feel like we might be in a good space.
well, I'm thinking the same thing too. I mean, I personally, I'm very geared towards the end of August and September.
Right.
But there are things coming up, and there's people doing stuff all around. It's that old adage, well, if your friend jumps off a bridge, are you going to?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was raised with that one.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
my mom said it too. And it's, you know, I don't want to be jumping off of bridges, and I don't want other people to do it. But on the, you know, with
So
everybody.
Are you booking shows, or what are you doing?
Well, right now we had shows booked last March, April, May, through the summer into October last year. All those have flipped over at least 3 times because nobody got a roadmap for this crap, as you know better than I do. Mm-hmm. And it's like, who knows, you know, out of nowhere, we're doing this. So we had shows in March. They got postponed just like a month or 2 months or 3 months. We didn't know, you know, we just didn't know. So when we found out that this was lasting longer and settle in with this, we really had to keep moving these shows along. So not too many new people in my life have come along. But when I think about it, we're talking about a lot of different shows that aren't booked yet. And now it's a matter of, I want to announce it at a time when it's sensible to somebody's ears going, right. But they're going to listen. Where is it and when? And is there spacing or not? You know, I went to a spaced out concert. It was by a jam band, so it was kind of trippy. But I mean, a social distance spaced show, and it was great. I enjoyed not being rubbed on by strangers. I know. You know, I hate that. I hate bumping into people and all the rest of this stuff. Not because of all this, but I've always just kind of been like that. It was really fun.
Not always been like that. Get out.
Hey, look.
Remember who you're talking to.
I want to see people touching each other and bumping into each other from the stage.
Distance, right.
You know, I went through the whole moshing thing. I wasn't a mosher, but sometimes they thought I was. There I was. Boom, next thing I know, I'm up in the air flying on them.
Right.
I quit going out front in the mosh pit. But anyway, here's what everybody wants to know. When are you putting out a record?
On John?
You.
Me?
I think you should do one. You sing great.
God, you flatter me. That's so far off of my thoughts that you can't even believe it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
you know what's really funny is I haven't done any singing since John passed. Mm. And it's funny you should bring it up because a friend of mine who's a songwriter, well, you know, I know a lot of music people. We were talking and I said, you know, I literally haven't sang a song since John passed, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
You kind of lose that muscle, but I'm busy helping with the label.
Work.
Yeah. I've never been busier. I've honestly never. This is intense right now. So we're working on projects. We're working on a tribute record. We put out the first single, which was Brandi Carlile singing "I Remember Everything." Yeah. She sang that the night John won 2 Grammys for that song and performance, which was very sweet, bittersweet, you know. And the second single is going to be dropped actually in about a week. And we're very excited about it. So yeah, and we have some fantastic performers lined up for that project. We have all of our artists actually are either in the studio or going into the studio. All of our Oh Boy artists. So Arla McKinney and Trey Burt, Kelsey Walden. We have a new signed artist that we'll be announcing soon. So we're busy. Yeah. Well, Jody primarily does all of that. I'm sort of I'm the cheerleader and the email writer and the phone call maker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jody didn't have any kind of training in that before he started, did he?
Mm-mm.
Just
no. It's interesting because he had a good sort of grounding in a good education, but he didn't have anything more than I had. It's funny that when you're around the industry, he grew up around it from the time he was 12 years old. When you grow up around it by osmosis, you kind of pick up stuff.
Yep.
And of course, you know him and you've known him a long time. He's a smart cookie. I mean, of course he's my son, but I mean, if he was never my son, and I hear that from people all the time, they'll call and say, wow, he's not only smart, but he's intuitive and he's mindful and he's considerate and he has, I think a good brain goes a long way.
Well, it does. And, in this business more than most, it's not that it's easy to pick up, but if you're the right type of personality for it, it's easy.
Exactly.
I mean, you show up and you stay out of the way when you got nothing important to say, and you chime in when you do, but you belong.
That's right.
And that's how you pick it up so fast, because you're being talked to like you belong, as opposed to I got another agenda and I don't want you knowing what I'm doing.
Right. And we have really had a pretty open door, transparent kind of policy, Jody and I, since we took over running the business. Where one of the first things we recognized was that not only did John and Al create this amazing independent record label, still around 40 years. We're actually celebrating 40 years all of this year.
Unbelievable.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. I hope you all follow us on social media. There's a lot of stuff there. Anyway, we very quickly realized that one of the things that was going to be very important to us, because we were not part of that initial version one of Oh Boy, was that we needed the community. We needed the support of the Nashville community. We needed the support of the music community. We really wanted to learn and then also share what we believe to be true, which is that in business, we are much stronger together, especially when you're talking about independence. We definitely need each other. And so that's it's paid up for us. It really has.
That's great. I was thinking that your merch sales and the album sales, they must be ridiculous. Because people get an actual piece. They get an actual thing.
Yeah. It's been really interesting, in the business generally, when you look at what's happened to live and people whose livelihoods, Danny, I know it's just, if you weren't so dang rich, I'd be worried about you. But, it's been so hard especially I think more for the artists who were just either on the cusp of breaking or had just broken and were maybe just had their first record deal, getting that first tour lined up, or maybe a big sponsorship deal, or maybe they were going to, go out on tour with a bigger act or something. And all of that, as you know, was all gone by the wayside. Well, there are certain industries, as you know, or certain parts of the industry that flourished through COVID, and record companies are one of them.
Yeah.
The music lives on, and it will always find a way to live on. And so through online streaming, through, all of it, we've sold, and we've sold more T-shirts than, we've closed half the country at this point. But we've had our fans, Danny, have just been, and many of them because you saw them in audience over the years. They rallied around every product, every record, every T-shirt, every initiative that we supported in the last year, and now year and a quarter, they supported. And with the help of our community, and I say us, like all of us in our community, our independent community, our music community, our record label, and others, we helped pass on $1 million to several organizations.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud for Jody for having that sensibility, because that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only a few people I know that made a go of the record business, and it's amazing when you consider how long it's been, the different characters involved, and then it made it as far as it made it, to the point where it's like, all right, now we can put our hands on this and blow it up. And back in the day when this started, and I remember it so clearly because I was always around back then, the envelopes with money just kept coming in, cash and checks.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't credit cards. And
no.
And talk about a community. It's like, oops, where'd she go? I swear okay.
I have no idea.
There she is.
Did
Bye,
you see what I said to you?
What?
On your text, I said lick back on. I meant click. It's damn spell check.
That's our Danny.
Oh well.
I've had a lot of trouble with my internet today. I will tell you that I've had a lot of trouble with my Zoom calls too. So
this is like the best I've had. We've done a bunch of these. This is the best thing overall for me.
Okay, I'm going to look into this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just another way to do it. That's all. So let's see. What else do I have for you? Do you know what story I've always loved? When I heard about it when it happened, was when the last album was recorded, and he checked himself into the hotel.
Yeah. God.
So for anybody that's checking us out today, can you talk about that one?
Sure. Well, when we took over the label, it didn't take long to figure out that we needed product. Right. So the fans were great, and we sold them everything we had, and we put out the book. Remember, we did our Beyond Words, and that did great for us. I mean, it definitely gave us a good bottom line. Yeah. But it was time to make a record. It really was. We'd done the duet record, and I knew that John had some really good songs. I knew he had Summer's End. He had that he'd already had that for about a year. And so time was coming around, and we, calendars, the months were rolling by, and I said, John, I do think that if you had the time or took the time, of course as a client, he was a nightmare. As my husband, he was a dream, but as my client, I'd be like, oh my God, please fire me. Or is that or could I fire you?
Right.
Yeah. So I knew he had a handful of songs that were really, really good, maybe even more. And I said, look, can we just look at some time? I know you're interested in working with Dave Cobb. Dave's a busy guy. We're going to have to tell him when. And I think that was kind of the first step. He had to kind of dip his toes into the water and say, okay, tell him I'll do it the first 12 days in July or whatever it was. I said, okay, we booked it. And, coming down to the wire, I said, John, how are the songs coming along? And he's like, oh, man. I said, you know what? Why don't you go stay in the Omni? And, of course, that gets his attention. His ears immediately pricked up. And I said, and you can go by yourself. I'm not even going to go with you. I mean, he was out that door faster than you could see Jackrabbit. And he moved in there with boxes of lyrics. He brought a ukulele with him, a couple of guitars, all his snacks and beverages, all of the things that he loved. And he spread himself out there.
He told me at the time, I talked to him right before that. He goes, I'm afraid when I get there, if somebody sees me checking into a hotel by myself, they're going to think something's wrong at home.
Right. I know. Yeah. He said they'll think I'm acting like I'm Howard Hughes, or we're getting a divorce.
Right.
I said, well, you know what? I don't care what people say. Just go on. We
know better.
He did, and I kind of left him alone. I did. I went down one or two nights and had dinner. But he really wanted to be left alone. And he reverted back to his best old habits, sleeping till God knows what time in the afternoon, getting up in the evening, pottering around, getting dinner, having his cocktail. And then the serious work started around 11 o'clock at night.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and he probably worked all the way through till maybe 3 o'clock some mornings. So that's what it took. And I did take some pictures on that last day before I helped him move out of the that suite. And oh my God, you think he'd lived there for a year?
How long was it, Fiona?
It was 10 days.
10 days. And this is downtown Nashville at the Omni.
This is right downtown Nashville at the Omni, yeah, where they all knew him. The room service was great. If you got bored in the afternoon, I mean, you got to love him. He would wander over to the Country Music Hall of Fame, and he might meet a couple of old fans there. And yeah, I think he just, John loved his home life, and we loved each other, and he loved everything about his life. But that road dog was in him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was just that whole thing about being in the hotel room and whatever, that he learned to grow to be comfortable in a hotel room.
I'll tell you how comfortable he got. I've never seen anybody destroy hotel rooms the way he did it. The way he would leave, not destroy.
No, but just like stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
you walk in the room, he just checked in, and I'm climbing over on open bags and stuff's everywhere. Then I got to put this stuff back together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I went on the road with him for that last 6 years, and my God, I mean, it was like, yeah.
It's a different thing. I understand the whole thing about the writing and so forth, because when he's in a hotel, he's working. That's all he knows. And
yeah.
And now it's you saying to him, by the way, son, finish this up.
Yeah. Well, here's what's interesting. So, we have this big house here in Nashville. You've been here, Danny, and it's beautiful and I love it. But
I love it.
I know that I don't need to stay in a big house by myself. So I have made a decision that I'm going to get a condo somewhere in Nashville. So I've been looking, and my realtor knows I like something nice, but anyway, I've got my own taste. So she brought me to all these new builds that were going on, like the Four Seasons, beautiful building going up and all the amenities and everything. And we went to another one in Mary. Nashville's become like, I don't know what the heck it is. I mean, it's a whole new city. Yeah. So we were sitting actually in the Four Seasons. They had a kind of a mock-up apartment thing, sitting there, and the kitchen was over here, and it was beautiful. But I couldn't. I was irritated. I couldn't. I was antsy. I couldn't relax. I was like, the girl was rabbiting on, and I was like, I'm looking at the window, and she goes, "Man, look at that view." And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't wait to get out of there. And I'm a bit of a slow learner when it comes to learning myself. So it took 2 days later, it hit me. I know what it was. I was waiting for sound check.
Oh.
I was waiting for John to call me and go, honey, I'm going to take a nap for 20 minutes. I've seen that view before in every city in America. I've seen that kind of furniture and that sort of layout before. And I was like, okay. So then I knew, no, I'm not going to be part of a hotel situation.
Yeah. I mean, especially after coming out of that house you're in. I mean, it's so you guys, it's so perfect.
Yeah. So anyway.
And that wall in the backyard.
I know. I put a patio in there. So hopefully when you come back in October, we can sit out there. I put a fire pit out there and a patio. And that's where we had Remember Grandpa Day on April 7th with the grandkids. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Fiona, with the record label, when you guys sign artists, what are you looking for? Like, if there's an artist right now that's like independent, that believes they've got what it takes, how do they get signed by you?
Typically, we find them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the leading indicators?
I think our leading indicator is John Prine. So it's got to be somebody who is committed to their art in that they tell stories with music. I think it's true to say that everybody that we've signed that John was around to see signed, which is everybody to date, he recognized that they were storytellers.
Yeah.
That they while they may be nervous on stage and still crafting their performances, that there was a certain lack of self-consciousness on stage where they were just in the moment with themselves and their music. Yeah, it's about the songs, Tim.
Yeah.
It always goes back to the songs, you know. I think we'll always be a label that represents the writer.
Yeah.
You know, the writer who sings his or her own songs.
Well, you're in the right city for writers, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know, they come from we you know, we have Kelsey's from Kentucky originally, and then Trey is from Sacramento originally. That's where he hails from, and he's amazing. He's going to do some great things. He was getting ready to break big time right before COVID, so we're very excited about him. And then Arlo McKinney's from Cincinnati. So I think it's, you know, it's the continuance of the American story.
Yeah.
Middle America.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Is there more music that John recorded that never came out for whatever reason?
Not a whole lot of new stuff. He did write a couple of songs that he never demoed himself. Sadly. Yeah. They're by a couple of well-known writers too. So no, there's not going to be a sort of an album. I mean, we do have, you know, deep sort of extra studio stuff that we're looking at. He did spend a lot of time in the studio in Ireland with Paul Mulligan, his good friend from Kinvara, who lived up the street from us in Galway. And so Paul and I have been talking, and I'm hoping to hear some of that maybe this year. Go in there to the studio and listen to. One thing I heard was a version of Long Monday that the words were completely different. Not completely, but there were like whole phrases and like it was a work in progress. So maybe there's something. Bob Weir has been trying to get me to gather up some of his old notes, and there's ideas for songs for sure, tons of them. We built it. We've started an archive, and so we're coming. You know, we're saving everything. So we'll see. Yeah.
That's great. Bobby's one of the best. I mean, talk about
a
battler, survivor, everything he is.
I've gotten to know him a little bit since John passed. He's doing some artwork for me, and
he does cool stuff.
He does. He's incredible. He's such a
cool
gentleman. And you know, he and John only met. I think they co-wrote 2 songs together.
Okay.
Maybe finished one, and there's a second that was unfinished. John was intrigued with him, you know, because I think I saw on some of your stuff that you'd sent me earlier, Danny, just to have a look at what you guys are doing here. I saw a little bit of Bob being interviewed, and he talked about being shy, and I think John would say the same thing. Well, John was so shy he wouldn't even say that he was shy. You know, John would just kind of go, "Oh, geez." I mean, he'd talk and he loved attention, and it's that sort of dichotomy, that contradiction of an artist. You know, they're alive and who they really, really, really are when they're in front of an audience, and yet they want nothing more than to be left alone.
It's a blessing and curse of being an introvert, right?
Yeah, I mean, John and I would laugh about this because I am also an introvert, even though I'm not a performer per se. Like, gift of the gab, maybe it's being Irish, I don't know what the hell it is, but you know, put me in front of a camera or a microphone and I'm off to the races.
Right.
But yeah, my little introvert Johnny. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's like he always had that little icebreaker as soon as he came out on stage.
That's right.
Hello. And you in the old days, he had just lit up a cigarette, and he would turn around after he said hello, and this big swath of smoke would go around his head, and he'd go put it down in the ashtray on the table behind his little shrine back there.
Right.
And he'd kind of like almost run back kind of quick to the microphone,
right,
and the show was on, you know, but
right,
we had to get that moment out of the way.
Yeah.
And it just settled them down. And Weir's the same way. He goes, once I get there, I open my mouth, I'm fine.
And you know, I think it for John, it was like he still did that, you know, as he became bigger and the audiences became bigger, obviously, and he was a little further away. I think his main sort of task that he assigned to himself was to make it a connection with the audience immediately.
Yeah.
Because he would say things to me like, you know, actually, they don't care how you sing. They don't. If you sing bum notes, if you forget words, they don't care. because they love you. They're there because they love you. They're there because they want you to be great for them, because they're great for you. And so, yeah, I think he had a really special gift in that way.
Now, he understood it as good or better than anybody I knew. And that's what really, I mean, he was a multi-dimensional guy when it came to the performing and the writing and the recording and the traveling and everything else. He did it all very well, somewhat reluctantly sometimes.
Please tell me that's not my phone. I don't think I have a phone that sounds like that. It's got to be yours.
That was from 1965 in Chicago, that ring.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, he was a singular entertainer. He had a way of connecting with people. And if I needed any more evidence of that, I get letters that don't come here to the house. That, a lot of stuff goes to the office, but I've always let it be known, if there's something that comes in that's just really, because it's all sincere. I mean, it's all sincere. It's you don't know me. I never met John, but I really want to share this. And I do get to see some of them. And I mean, my gosh, these are real people with real lives who listen to real John Prine songs.
Yeah. And they've always been these passionate kind of fans around him. Over the years, I've had people say, I've seen him 30 times. I've seen him 50 times. I said, well, you're going to have to catch me. I have a few hundred, but what a great run that was. I don't know if you know this or not, but when I sold my company in 2001, they told me after the deal was made and I've collected some money, I didn't know this, but I tried to get out of it. They said, you can't promote outside of your area anymore. I said, I have to stay home. Well, they said, well, we have other marketers and different promoters in different regions now. I said, well, that's fine. I can teach them how to do this, or I'll do it with them. It's still into the same company pot.
Right.
So what ended up happening right after that was I couldn't get shows anymore because they wouldn't let me promote them, and they weren't going to sell them to somebody they didn't know.
Right.
So other people took an interest as slow as they were to catch on to begin with, and there they were. But if I had known that before I went in, and I dream about it, like I want to see the movie in one of my dreams one night. If I said, stick it, you guys, I ain't doing it, and I'm just going to stay just like I am. And there's such a big part of me wishes I did. I wonder.
Another part of me that is very glad you did. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It worked out. I mean, I'm happy we're here, but I mean, I can't help but think about how many good times I missed with him, because we would spend anywhere from a week to 2 weeks a year together between all the different traveling and shows and stuff. And it was my favorite part of what I did, because we had such a good hang together. I got nobody yelling at me about, what do you mean you want to go to Dairy Queen or White Castle again?
Right.
We're sitting there searching the maps for him. I mean, it wasn't anything. I tried to get him off the meatloaf after the shows. It didn't work.
I did get him on sushi big time.
Oh, he went crazy on that. I wish we would have got him on that.
Where it was like, a casual lunch in New York was Nobu. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. He fell in love with sushi.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I've never met an artist like John that has more artist fans, and the best of the best, have held him in such high regard, and it's really a testimony to his artistry. I mean, whether you're talking about Jason Isbell or Brandy, as you said, or Ashley McBride. I mean, you go through like the who's who of awesome in music today, and who's their hero? It's John Prine.
I talked to Roger Waters, actually, Danny, a couple of weeks ago.
Good.
I guess he just had a shoulder situation or something. Anyway, he's getting himself sorted. But it was good to talk to him. And he has such affection for John. I mean, he really does. He's just a very sincere, and he's been a good friend to me since John passed. Yeah. Yeah. So what else is going on?
Tim, you got anything else? I'm perfectly thrilled and happy with our visit, and we could talk all day, but I'm wondering if you got anything.
Just a couple quickies. You know, between you and John, you know, the artists that you guys looked at and said, yeah, these artists are doing it right now. And I know there's probably a lot, and I'm not asking you to name everybody, but just a couple that come to mind.
The people that John admired.
Yeah.
You know, when I'm asked that question quite a bit, I have to say Casey Musgraves is somebody that really touched John.
Yeah.
And both of us actually, because she was young and she is young and just an amazing writer. I mean, she has her craft and she's worked out and it's excellent. John and I went to see her play her big homecoming show at the end of her tour at the what do they call it now in Nashville? I mean, they changed these arenas' names. Bridgestone, yeah. John wept. I mean, we were sitting up in the clubhouse box, you know, with all the muso people, and John goes, "I want to go hear the music," you know. So we went down a little bit and sat on seats, and there were tears, and you know, it was just to see someone hold on to their integrity.
Yeah.
Well, their artistry, obviously, but their integrity and just to be who they are. And nobody knows better and knew better than John what kind of work it took. I can't talk about him all the time in the past tense. It's really weird. Because I talk about us together. So I'm like, yeah, we were, but I'm still here. And I guess he is too. But so he admired her greatly. But he was very eclectic. I mean, he really admired, there's an Irish singer-songwriter called Declan O'Rourke that you guys really need to check out. I mean, he's put out a new record and John would have loved this new record. He's just a singular writer and a very unique voice.
Declan O'Rourke.
Declan O'Rourke.
Got it.
Yeah, his album is called Arrivals. And of course, he loved everything coming out of Oh Boy, Brandi Carlile, Sturgill Simpson, Jason Isbell. He adored Amanda Shires. He thought Amanda was, you know, is the consummate artist. That she's an artist from her head to her toes, and really,
she's awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome. And yeah, I mean, just once it took him a little while to get comfortable with getting this sort of feedback and sort of adoration. You know, he was like, really? They really think? But once he saw that it was sincere and that then that these people themselves were incredible artists, it sat a lot more comfortable with him. And so we had some great times the last 6 years or so.
I was so thrilled to see that group of people you're talking about one by one embrace him. Yeah. And it boosted his confidence. And he didn't, which he didn't need to do. He was always a cocky guy when it came to certain things.
Right.
But with these newer musicians, the younger people, and they never treated him like grandpa. They treated him like a god. Yeah. And they loved him. And he, after you're totally spot on. It's like, if it wasn't for them, John still would have been big. He still would have been important to everybody. But those people helped spread it for quite a while. And, you know, so. Yeah.
I do credit Jody with some of his marketing expertise. Of course, Eileen Tilson, who is marketing director at Oh Boy. They are so imaginative, and they're the younger generation, right? These are your kids in their 30s, and so they're thinking, you know, in a different way from we would have thought about the music business and how it ran. I mean, they know the importance of social media. They know what kind of an impact it can have. They know streaming and all of that kind of stuff. So we really utilized that end of the that new end of the market, and you know, John has really healthy streaming numbers now on Spotify and Pandora. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling.
A lot of YouTube love there too.
What's that?
YouTube love.
Yes, definitely.
And there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube.
Yes, there is. And we're actually getting ready we're making a film about Oh Boy. Maybe we should interview you, Danny.
Yeah.
Turn the camera around here.
Please. Hey, you know what I was thinking while we were talking? You've probably never heard these, but I'm going to get you a little reel of my guy who's done my John Prine spots for the last 40 years. It's the same guy.
Oh, really? I would love to.
I'm going to ask him for everything he can put his hands on, but
Cool.
I think they're the greatest spots I ever wrote. I just call him up whenever I get it.
Right.
Tell him the songs, and he comes up with a line, I come up with a line, but it's got to be different than the normal spot. You can't get on the radio and go, and now in concert, John Prine. You know, this isn't Motley Crue, but you know, we did very conversational spots, and he loved them. We used to listen to him when we drove to another gig, and I play him. He goes, "You said that about me? That's so nice." You know, it's like,
oh, yeah. I mean, he was his own best audience.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You know what he would love, guys? Have you guys
and worst?
You're right. Have you checked out Clubhouse? Have you been on Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it. I think John would have loved it. He would have loved to be able to listen just on his chair and nobody knows he's there, or you know, his name is buried down there. Jimmy Rule's buried down there somewhere. I think he would have loved that. Anyway, I just was thinking about that today. We do a thing every Friday. We have an Oh Boy chat at noon time every Friday. So come on in and say hi, and we talk about business. We talk about whatever.
Do we talk about Mitch?
I talk to Mitch. I talk a lot. I've been talking a lot to Mitchell.
How is my friend Mitch?
Yeah, you know, he's bored.
Yeah, he wants to
yeah, he's trying to put together something for late in the year or next year to get the songs back out on the road. So, you know, I'm encouraging him to do that himself, to take that on and to run with it. And so we'll see. Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yes. He's been a good friend to me too.
Good.
Y'all have.
We love you, honey.
I miss you. I miss
you too. I don't know when we'll get out there, if it's before then, but you'll see me on the 3rd.
You'll be there? Okay.
How could I not be there for that?
Okay.
And Fiona, we just want to plant the seed again on the album. We want the Fiona album. So just give that some thought. Give that some thought.
I'll get that on my list. I'll put it
right?
You need something else to do.
Yeah, really, because I'm, you know, there's at least 2 hours of the day where I'm twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah, that might be called.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, when we get this cleaned up and that, we'll send it to you, and you can throw it up if you want.
Oh, I totally will. Yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and you were great. I love listening to you talk. You're right on it, and it just makes me feel good to be with you. You know. And
me, you. Thank you, Danny.
Yeah. I love you.
It's nice to meet
you. Yeah, nice to meet you too. It's an honor.
I love you, sweetie.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All Excess with Danny Zalesko.